Namaste, fellow waves, and namaste to our spiritual brother Ben Meyers, back for another episode of After the Bell. And Benjamin, what an episode we got to break down today. How the hell are you, pal?
I'm doing awesome. In a world of what can feel like craziness, it's interviews like this and podcast episodes like this that remind you that we're all not very different from one another and we're all experiencing similar things through different lenses. So I'm so excited to jump into this with you, my friend.
These guys just keep catching me off guard. For even someone who did this job like them, the similarity yet the differences. And so far, every guy's been very blue collar, but I think we got the most blue collar brother yet. And his upbringing was beautiful. I mean, it's like I was thinking is if I got raised by my grandparents, first generation over from Scotland, but he did it up north, baby.
Well, you heard that from, just not only the journey to get to the league, right? To get to the show, but then the journey to build your own log cabin. That's a different kind of determination, blue collar. And something that popped up with me is expecting it to not be easy. And I think, through his parents being immigrants coming over from, I believe it was Holland, and understanding there was this mentality that was set like, hey, like whatever you're setting out to do, have the expectation that you're going to work hard for it. It's not going to be easy. And that is just one of those things that, hey, when you expect it to be hard, you show up with this different expectation of, hey, I'm going to do what I have to do to get there. And you can just see it through Krames, man. What an episode. You guys crushed it.
I appreciate it, bro. I was just trying to let him flow with it, and obviously trying to watch my ego come through as he watched and trying to take it a certain way. But he opened up early, and I wanted to really get his background of him, but I think it's such a blessing, and it resonated with me so much and made me appreciate again how my mom didn't give a shit about how I did. She just wanted me to show up and work hard, and that's what his dad didn't know anything about hockey. He's like, but if we're making that drive, you best believe you're going to be working hard. And I resonated with that with so much, and what a gift that he got from his family that way, and I did, because it allowed us to just explore and do something that was just a passion without any expectation. I think that's where the magic happens. And I think that's what allowed him to be such a player that could put up points and grow the ability to even have the chance to be a tough guy.
What blows me away about the level of like, not just labels in the league and whatever it be, your own career or person like who's maybe like working in finance or whatever it is, whoever is like is able to relate to this, it's you get put into this cage that you're expected to look a certain way, act a certain way, perform a certain way, and all these things. And the thing that constantly blows me away with the people you've been talking to is there's so much more skill behind the label of what us as viewers see it as. And like we talk about, he had 49, a high 40 goal season and stuff like that. And most to the casual fans, casual viewers, you see this grinder, this fighter, the guy that has to do what it has to do. To the less educated in the hockey world, it's like, oh, they just made it because they're willing to throw hands. And it's like, no, they obviously have to have a level of skill. So understanding that mentality of by all means and being able to fit and do what it takes is you might not be the Patrick Kanes of the world and all of the things, and you might bring the energy and the grit to it. But understanding that underneath all of this, we have so much skill, so much experience in what we bring to the world that just because what the world labels us, it isn't what is underneath all the
Mm,
time.
mm. Absolutely. And I think a big thing that resonated in this episode was it may look simple, but that doesn't mean it's easy. Like there's a big difference between simple and easy. And when he's getting to that level of being like, wait, all I got to do is be a left winger now. I don't have to run around the ice. I can just go from the point to my house right in front of the net, then back out. And this is all I got to, oh, I can do this. I can do this. And he started to feel into that, like, okay, it doesn't have to be complicated. But that don't mean it ain't going to be hard when he's fighting 46 times, 500 penalty minutes. I know, like 500 penalty minutes in 2 seasons in the years we're talking is unheard of. And his path that he took of everybody telling him, just focus on NCAA, focus on this, don't worry about that. And he's like, no, I know what I want to do. And that's the only reason he could make it happen.
You know what stood out it was you once going back to the labels and expectation is like you're a big bruiser, right? You can throw with the best of them. All of a sudden, you get to the show, and these first rounders that are skill guys are starting to ring your bell. And he's like, "Wait, these are supposed to be the ones I'm supposed to walk all over." He goes, "There's going to be a different level to this." And once again, it's now shifting expectations. And just because the recipe is simple doesn't mean that recipe is easy. And what I can only imagine would be fear of going, oh no, these skill guys are knocking me into next week, and I'm supposed to be the one that's like handling this like it's a cakewalk. I think that was something I took away. I was like, you don't think about that. It's like all of a sudden you're starting to question your own identity, your own skill, what is supposed to be your level of expertise, and resetting those entire expectations all over again.
Because he was just used to doing that. He's used to just like being a hardworking kid, like whatever it takes, I just make it work. And I thought it was such a hilarious analogy that he gets, he's in the stands, he's not playing his first little bit, and he gets given the video recorder to record the game, and he has no idea what he's doing. He thinks he's filming like highlight reels, like he's seen on Sportsnet and TSN or ESPN, and he's zooming in on guys. And the coach is like, "What is this?" When he goes to look back at the video, we want to see everything, and he's going, "Damn." And it's such an analogy of zooming out, start to have awareness of ourselves, awareness of our thoughts, which is the highest form of intelligence, being able to think of your own thoughts. He had such a funny way of looking into that, of like, wow, I can't just be tunnel vision. I got to zoom out and see everything if I'm going to make this thing work.
Isn't it interesting that we want everything to look like a highlight reel? We want to zoom in on it. We've been taught to zoom in on everything. You have to be hyper focused on all the details. And yeah, there's a time and place for that, of course. But the lesson there was zoom out, brother. See the whole ice. See what's going on. Recognize what the team's doing, what the environment says, where everyone's located. And when I heard that, I go, that's the analogy for life. Zoom out, brother. There's so much more. This isn't all highlight reels. This isn't all, supposed to be the peak of the mountain. There's so much more going into this. So once in a while, you talked about it. Zooming out is the uncomfortable words of like meditation and mindfulness and all of this shit, right? But it's, why don't we just look at the big picture and just take ourselves out of main focus for a little bit and see what's going on.
And my own journey of getting from minor hockey to that level, it was so about, just doing your job, doing your role. This is my one thing to do. I'm a winger. I'm stapled into that place. I don't have to move. I don't have to think about anybody else's job. But that's what all changed at the OHL level. And for him, junior, is you get there and you realize, oh, on the forecheck, it's not left wing, center, right wing. It's F1, F2, F3, which means I have to know each position in the offensive zone, and then going back in the defensive zone, I need to know who's F1, F2, F3. It's whoever's there first. Just because I'm the winger and I'm back, because it doesn't mean I just go float away to my wing. It's like, oh, that was such a wake-up call for me to be like, I have to know everybody's job. This is getting like, it's not like a lot. It's not like a playbook in the NFL that's this thick. But I need to know what a D-man has to do in this situation. I need to know his role so that I can best support him. It was this awareness of having to zoom out, which was a little alarming at first, but that's how we expand our horizon, our bandwidth to be able to handle things. And like you said, the uncomfortable things, meditation and mindfulness, it's creating that space, as Viktor Frankl says in this Man's Search for Meaning, between stimulus and response, to be able to have that little space of like, oh, ding, ding, ding dong, you have to go do that job, not just stay in your own role, like being able to think about other angles of life.
I love that. I love that analogy. And there's I was just watching a recent clip. I think it was TJ Oshie and Ovechkin kind of chatting on the ice. And it was just like watching a master of his craft like break down like the simplicity that he thinks of is, but he knows that what the defense is thinking. He knows if the guy is crashing the net, that the goalie is going to be in a certain position, that the defender is going to be somewhere, and that somebody has to open up the passing lane to get to him. And he goes, well, if that happens, I go here. And if I go here, most likely this side of the net's open. But like, it's that repetition we talk about, that practice. And once again, you didn't have to become an expert in the F1, F2, F3. It's like, I just need to know what everyone's role is. So when I'm in a different position, that I know what they're doing and how it's going to affect me. Well, I think the same thing goes for life. it's knowing what's going on in the roles that not only yourself, but those that play around you are in. And when things happen, when you're zoomed out, you go, I can look at this a little bit more from a tactile or a tactical perspective. Is
Mm.
when this happens, I'm prepared to do this, this, and this. So it's not the emotions getting in the way. It's much more of like, no, I looked at this from the zoom out, the whole ice, and I'm like, oh, okay, I know that that passing lane's closed, or I know that this person's crashing, so I have to rotate. Like, I think when we're able to do that with our life, and you saw Kramer talk about a bit post career, like he had to shift quite a bit. So I think a lot of that is really relative just to everyday life for people like, I say, me.
Yeah, like to not just be so wrapped up in our own shit, to be able to come home after a day and maybe be a little tired from work or whatever you're going through, but then to get in and immediately have this spaciousness, the zoomed out perspective to say, oh, my mom's a little off. Maybe I'm not going to go dump everything on her in my day. Maybe I have a little awareness to see that she might need the space more than I do. Maybe I set mine aside and say, hey, mom, I notice there's something going on there. And it's amazing how that can shift energy. Instead of just walking through, oh, I got to do this, I got to do that, and just ignoring her. That's how we create connections in life. That's how we can have purpose and meaning and show up for others. So that's what made me think a little bit of like having that awareness, that stimulus response is that I could show up for people better because I'm aware of what my mom's going through in life. It's not just about me. How can I bring a value to this situation, like my supporting my D-man or my F1, F2, F3? Why can't I bring that to supporting my mom? And sports is just a microcosm of life. It just compacts everything into these uncomfortable situations that help us grow.
I think relating back to the athlete mentality, right? If you're constantly going out there and you're worried just about your stats, how many points, how many PIMs, was I plus minus, all of this stuff, and it's me, 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 me. You are playing completely different than when it's about a we or an us. And that's why, it's such a skill to be able to zoom out like that, because thinking about the work we do, if this was about me constantly receiving from you, our viewers, and all of these things, I'm going to show up completely different, and it's going to feel selfish. But when the work itself is about how does the things I do impact and create for the greater good? How is this service to others? Because that service comes back to us. So I think about that with sport. It's like, okay, if I'm constantly thinking and I'm in survival mode of if I don't get one goal, one assist, one fight in tonight, and that's all you're thinking about, you're not playing the game anymore. You're really just looking at yourself, and it's not about anything else. So I think that's one of the greatest lessons on the laundry list of lessons that he has lived and helped bring through in his experience. That was a big one for me, is not only was he in tune with his intuition, which he talked about, his gut talking to him about certain things, but I think he really, really became such I'm about the team guy, not just about he gave up a lot of stats to be a team guy. And I thought that was really impressive.
And he took it to a level that was unbelievable. Like, I'm playing this role and I'm worried about my stats. I'm worried about making sure I'm contributing. But he is playing for Manitoba, and this coach hasn't even looked at him. He hasn't even looked at him. And it's like, I don't know where I stand with this guy, whatever. I haven't had a meaningful conversation all year, months. And he just goes in and he just opens up. He just completely lays it all out there. And he's like, coach, like, I feel like I haven't bring no value, all these things. He just dumps it out there. And the coach is like, holy shit, this is incredible. This guy just wants to do anything to help. And he has a whole mindset shift where now he's literally, you could see his face light up. He was enjoying coming to the rink and not playing. When he was playing, he was like, oh shit, that's kind of easier. I kind of want the heart of like, I want those emotions to come up, but still lean in to help my guys. And the article that I pulled from this interview with him, the coach talked like from the second they met, they hit it off. I would have never imagined the guy didn't even look at him. And it kind of made sense because he was a former guy that didn't play at a high level. He didn't maybe understand the toughness role. And he sees Krames, who's, got his reputation. And he's like, this guy's useless to me. But then he ends up being like his right-hand man in the locker room to transmit the coach's message and just be literally a vessel of love and light. Like I was incredible awareness.
You know what it screamed for me? Purpose and meaning.
Oh, yeah.
Krames wasn't finding his purpose and meaning anymore. He was feeling worthless. He was feeling like purposeless. He wasn't providing value anymore. And then what a life lesson to come through and say, hey, this is how I'm feeling. Like, I don't know. Like I said, I didn't get to the levels that you guys did, but like going into a locker room, at least in our day, it was really hard to go to a coach and say, "This is I'm feeling a little vulnerable today," and I'm like right. And he said that, and all of a sudden, you saw it in his eyes light up. Like, now I'm giving to the team. Now I'm valuable. Now more so than I ever could be on that ice. And he goes, "Do you know how cool it is to sit up in the box, watch this, give this feedback, check tape, go through this?" And like you saw it start coming, that passion coming out of him. And I was like, that's what vulnerability can do for people. When you let your ego get out of the way and you're able to be honest and open, it won't always be met with that. But like you can see what is possible is, oh no, I am in service and I am where I am meant to be right now.
Oh my God, dude. So true. If in doubt, just how can I serve someone else and make their day better? And watch how your life explodes.
Yep.
Because I'm telling you, as I get deeper in my own journey, that's the only thing there is to do is serve. And it's always what I come back to because there's nothing else to do, man. I was blown away the way his eyes lit up with that I'm more excited not to be playing. And to be honest, that's where it was kind of like, damn, I thought he was going to get into coaching for sure. But he just goes this complete different direction, which he kind of showed early in his career before he even signed the contract. He's like, do I want to do this? Like he had worked like a dog chasing a bone to get the bone and be like the contract in front of him, be like, do I want to do this? I'll do it and I'll commit. It's like he's able to like zoom in, zoom out so amazingly, but then he decides to walk away at 26, head held high, chest stuck out of like, man, I had purpose and meaning in that career, and now I'm going to take it into my next venture.
Do you know what, in my humble opinion, his greatest gift through that process was? It was he had the awareness to define what success looked like to him throughout the process. And I think in the very beginning, when he was like, my gut was kind of telling me, I don't want to sign this contract. Like that's alarm bells going, because what have you worked for your entire life? And then all of a sudden it goes, I just had to redefine what success looked like. Like I almost like dropped everything. I was like, that's the lesson in everyone's life. Like what success looked like 10 years ago, we cannot be holding ourselves to that same, because we're not the same person. So like, when's the last time you redefined what success looks like in your personal life now, your professional life now, your relationships now? And when he said, like I said, I dropped everything. I was like, yeah, that's it, dude. That's it.
Damn. Like that takes so much internal strength to not care what people think. We're so influenced by the external. He's literally just like, no, this is, I went out on my terms. I'm so proud of it. But then it just shows that even knowing these things, you don't know what's around the next corner. And, you know, he got met with something that he wasn't expecting. He thought he had some passion for business and it went in a completely way that he didn't expect. And he had to meet, man, a challenge that he wasn't expecting so soon.
Man, this thing called happiness, it's this forever moving target. And if you're looking, and he talked about it, if you're looking to the material world, that's so much easier to find happiness, what I'll call a shallow happiness, instead of when he got deep, when we get deep and we find what truly lights us up. And that's what in my opinion, is service and purpose to others. There's just this connection to it. Finding happiness on the inside will forever be more rewarding than the materials of the money, the cars, the flashy stuff, right? I think he said it. He goes, it's so much easier to find material happiness than it is inner happiness. And I go, is this Buddha? Like this guy is so aware and so in tune. And once again, that comes from the hardships, the experience, and going through what he went through. And that's why I was like, this guy is going to resonate so much, because that hit me like a ton of bricks.
And he was so aware to just be like, I thought I had passion for this business, but he quickly delineated that, like, okay, this isn't working. People don't want to sell tires. There's no juice here. There's no passion here. And people are telling me to go have a beer on the weekend and relax. He's like, no, I go all in on anything I do. And he wasn't feeling that reciprocation from the environment. So, you know, what's for us can't miss us. It was a great lesson learned. Time to move on to something else. He's always been an outdoorsman. He gets into doing the pulp, but then it allows him, well, how much is it allowing away? I know for me, balance is so hard. When something feels so good, it can almost become our greatest weapon, can be our greatest enemy. When I love something, I go all in almost to the fault, right? Where it starts to hurt me. He starts having this amazing thing to build that log cabin, but he recognized immediately that he started neglecting other parts of himself.
When we start neglecting other parts of ourselves, those blinders come on, right? And I think that a lot of that's old programming. It's, once again, we've known one way to do this, and you talk about it at length. It's, hey, I'm going to burn the boat across the ocean. I'm going to get here hell or high water, and realizing that burning the boat was just part of your process of realizing that burning the boat wasn't the way you want to do it forever. And there was nothing wrong with that. It was, you learned, right? And I think what he did is, once again, at a faster rate than most, is learning and not judge. Like, there's always going to be judgment along the way, but how quick can we forgive ourselves and understand that this wasn't about being perfect, or wasn't just about getting to the league, because everyone leaves the league at some point. It's when that goes away and that veil's pulled away, what's behind that? And like, behind it was, I really like the discipline of showing up and proving myself every day, learning lessons, learning new skills, showing up for others. I love the teamwork. I love the locker room. I love the performance aspect of it. I love the connection with fans. I love the journey of it all. That's not just sports. That's everyday life. It's just, what were you good at? And what did you find joy and purpose in? And how does it relate to your life off the ice? How does it relate to your life out of the office, wherever it is? And I think that's something he had the fortitude to try new things, to find where that juice was. And once again, it's no surprise he found it. Like, those who search often find.
Especially with that blue collar upbringing and mentality. And it just shows how the journey's a spiral for even him being so vulnerable and such in a way that blew us away with that coach. He now gets out of the game, which was kind of what he was used to. Now he's outside and he's having to relearn and go back to lessons. I can't tell you how many times I had to return to the same lesson that I thought I already figured out, and I had to go deeper and deeper and deeper. And he had to go through that again on the outside. And that's what he came to his conclusions of. Now he has different coping strategies. He has a room in the house he doesn't call the workout room, the gym. He calls it his wellness room. He had to realize that, okay, I was vulnerable in a hockey setting. That was one thing. Can I be vulnerable in a setting where there's nobody going to be patting me on the back afterwards for it? You know, nobody's going to be like, oh man, that's awesome. You could, on a pod, like, you were so good, such a good guy in the locker room. It's like, no, it's just me and my therapist now. It's just me and my therapist. But he's redefining success and being vulnerable for himself in that setting now, and talking about how important it is for men to just get out and talk, man. It's exciting. He talked about it as.
I loved that. That was such a breath of fresh air. He was just kind of saying what I think so many, not just young, but all levels of, especially male athletes, but we'll just say everyone, not just where the stigma is with mental health in men. He found it as like, it was part of, once again, his new arena. Yes. It was, oh no, this is part of my process now. This is part of how I do it. This is part of becoming successful, like, inside now. You mentioned something and you said, I thought I've learned these lessons. They've come up and they've blah, blah, blah. I want to ask anybody, have you ever read the same book twice?
Oh.
You didn't really read the same book twice. You saw it through a whole new set of lens, a whole new set of circumstances, a whole new set of experiences. And like, anytime I read, especially more of like, whether it be personal development, spiritual development, whatever it is, that is not the same book I read the first or second time. Well, don't look at these lessons as coming in and being like, you didn't learn it. You didn't learn it. You didn't learn it. You're not doing good enough. It goes, no, you're just ready to see the pattern and learn it from a new set of perspectives now, a new set of lenses, because your experience has now made you aware of it. Now you can be more intentional with the outcome of it and how you want to show up, what you want to tap into, how you want to redefine what success looks like this time. The pattern never stops. We continue to grow. We continue to evolve. Just because old patterns show up, it doesn't mean that you've regressed in any type of way. Just, you have a new set of tools to work through it differently this time. And that's the exciting part.
Great reframe. And this is why, the eyeball can't see itself. How is the only way to see itself? In mirror? Ben's being my mirror right now. He's being mirror to us all, as we all are to each other. And it's so true. The Alchemist, one of the greatest books ever. I've read that book 3 times. Each time I never sat down and paced around my house. So I read it in the same way. I moved the same way, but I was a completely different person digesting what was coming through. The epiphanies, the explosions in my brain of connections and the patterns deepening. And that's what that meant the last time or 2 times ago. What? Because I've now done this. That's why, as you said, those who seek shall find. That's the only thing on this path, is just the earnestness to keep going, no matter what, whatever comes, we face it, we move through it. It's just more, as Ram Dass says, grist for the mill. It's more stuff to chew on and to grow with.
And it's remembering that the process itself is the journey. Like you always hear it, and it's all these cliches, and cliches are cliches for a reason. It's because there's so much truth in them. And something that popped up for me when he was talking about it, he became more aware of like, hey, my sleep's getting a little messed up. Hey, this is like, he started once again taking everything he was learning and turning it inward. Like the old patterns, which I'm sure talking about, like when you're nervous before a fight or before a game that you're going to have a big fight and like you can't sleep, like you start to realize that these patterns show up off the ice too. And it's no shock that, our knees hurt or our back hurt or, our mind's racing when we're not taking care of our mind, our body, our soul, our spirit. Like when we're not taking care of those things in a way that we know is best for us, because what we're fueling our body and our mind with, our soul expresses, right? And that's the reality we're experiencing. And once again, through his lens of just being like, hey, it's no shock I kind of felt like this. I wasn't sleeping when I was working 12 hours overnight. I was then burning it, and I was building a log cabin. I wasn't resting. I wasn't doing all of these things. And like you said, I'm not just a mirror for you, and you're not just a mirror for me. Like we're all a mirror of each other. And one of the greatest lessons I ever learned was how I view myself, not one other person views me. How you view you or how I view you will never be the same as the way someone views themselves. So remember, like, pay attention to the reflection, because it's for you to interpret. It's not for anyone else to judge you or anything like that. Just for you to interpret, collect the data, and then act with intention to move in a direction of alignment.
Oh, and is he ever doing that? Because as the son I am that went through with my dad, if my dad could be vulnerable and emotional and crying, it wasn't on my path. But I hear Darren Kramer saying, my girls have seen me emotional through this, breaking down, seen mommy help me move me down the hallway because I'm in so much pain. And I'm like, dude, you're just leading with vulnerability. You cannot go wrong like that, man. You just cannot go wrong. I know he's going to figure out those health issues. He's too determined. He's too dialed in. He's too vulnerable with his family. They're going to be there to mirror back everything he needs to learn and know. I mean, I can't wait to have him on again and go deeper, because like he said, when we got off, he's like, oh my gosh, Gabe, we could talk for hours. There's so much deeper. And I'm like, hey, brother, we'll get there. We'll get there. We're going to wayfare and take everybody on a journey as we keep going and diving deeper and deeper.
Obviously, all of our guests they all shock me, because there's this level of, I can always view from the fans' view, right? And you think these guys are just one way, right? It's especially like it feels a lot like, my journey of growing up. It just feels like there's like this meathead to it, especially when they're a grinder, you're a fighter. There's not this other, like, we don't see that. And what I love about your work with them and their ability to open up is like there's so much depth behind this. And once again, it's an art form, not just the fighting, but the relationships built, the way to go about it on and off the ice. And I think that's what's really cool, is this veil is just being pulled back. And every one of our guests so far has just shown up in a way that's like, there's so much more than you see on the TV. Like there's so much more depth, so much more life, so much more journey that's worth sharing, that I think that's what I really love about this, man, is peeling back the onion, peeling back the layer, peeling back the veil, whatever, the curtain, whatever it is, and showing, the mystery that is behind a professional athlete. It's just like everyone else trying to figure it the fuck out, man.
The fights on the ice is what people come for, and they stay for the fights off, because, hey, not all of us have fought somebody on the ice bare knuckles, but you're damn sure the hardest fights, which he said, we've talked about with different guests. I'd rather fight Zdeno Chara, all these guys 1,000 times in a row than deal with some of the things I have in life. But those are where the real growth happens, not on the ice, in the arena of life, man. So thank you so much again, everybody. After the bell, Ben Meyers coming in, just shining love and light as always. Thank you for being a channel of the love and light, brother.
Sending love to everybody.
Namaste.